23rd. Think you can hook me up? It's weird. It says the 23rd, no events. Why? 1 second. Today's the 22nd. Oh, it's Tuesday. What's the matter with me? Where's Ben? Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to be a few minutes late. We're waiting for Commissioner Preston.
Okay. Is Ben?
There. Everyone ready? You ready? Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to call to order the special city commission meeting for 7:46 p.m. here tonight on August 22nd, 2023. We please have roll call.
Commissioner Drosky,
Here.
Commissioner Hudak,
Here.
Commissioner Preston,
Here.
Vice Mayor Parnas,
Here.
Mayor Gans.
Here. We please stand for a moment of silence and our pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we have approval of the agenda tonight, please, for August 22nd, 2023.
Motion to approve, please.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Preston, second by Commissioner Hudak. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Madam Clerk.
For those attending via Zoom online wishing to speak under public comment or an item that's open for public input, please click raise hand at the bottom under the reactions tab and your audio will be unmuted when you're recognized by Mayor Gans. For those attending via Zoom by telephone, please press *9 to raise your hand and your audio will be unmuted when you're recognized by Mayor Gans. Please make sure your audio is unmuted on your end by pressing *6. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. First and only item on tonight's agenda is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, approving the lease agreement between the City of Deerfield Beach and Deerfield Beach Cafe LLC for the lease of the city's pier restaurant for a 20-year term with 2 5-year renewal options, providing for execution, severability, conflicts, and an effective date. This is second reading. I know I gave a pretty comprehensive overview of the lease agreement during first reading, and of course, I remain available to answer any questions, as well as the potential leasee is here as well.
Okay. We give a moment for Vice Mayor Parnas to come back. City Manager, is there anything additional to add?
No additional comments besides what the city attorney has offered. We did complete the negotiations, and again, the lease agreement is in substantially the same form as it was provided during first reading. I think we had a minor tweak.
Yeah, from first reading to second reading, there's just really maybe 3 clarifications. One was on one of the exclusions from gross revenues. The second one was clarification on when a force majeure event could result in a rent abatement. And there's only one scenario. Force majeure is just a fancy legal word for meaning when something is outside of your control. You have an excusable reason why you can't meet your obligation. There's only one circumstance where rent would be abated, and that's if the premises was rendered uninhabitable due to a natural disaster. And then finally, the clarification on the 3 city events that could warrant closure of the observation deck are up to 3. And that's really for public health safety purposes. That's why it was put in there. For example, for July 4th would be one of those circumstances. So that was really that and just making sure that the exhibits were up to date and consistent with the proposal that was submitted. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone from the public that would care to comment on this item?
Yes. First of all, Mayor, I hope you're feeling better. My name is Dan Hurst, 330 Southeast 19th Avenue. Let me start off by saying I don't have any personal vendettas or problems with Danielle Ross. I don't care who she supported in an old election or in a new election. I am not wired to think like that. I have one overriding principle that guides everything I do. It is to do what is in the best interest of the taxpayers of Deerfield Beach. If people have trouble believing that, it is their problem, not mine. With that being said, we have a unique opportunity this evening to undo a bunch of wrongs and irregularities that have plagued this pier restaurant bidding process from day one. As City Manager David Santucci has failed to point out, Section 7.09, Item 2B of the City Charter clearly points out that the lease of city property whose fair market value is over $750,000 must be approved by a majority of qualified electors at a regular or special election. The only exception to this referendum requirement is upon a super majority vote. The City Commission may award leases for a pier restaurant or snack facility. So the 2 commissioners who voted against Ms. Rossi on August 1st can reshape these proceedings. And why should they want to blow everything up and start all over again? Well, the first reason is obvious. The majority of the commissioners voted to receive conservatively $1.5 million less in rent over the course of the lease. This money is being ripped away from the taxpayers who are the ultimate owners of the pier restaurant structure. The second reason is that the whole bidding process and the awarding of this lease has been rigged from the start. You will hear from eyewitnesses who will share information tonight which proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that Ms. Rossi was promised this restaurant long before any RFP or ITN was ever issued. I will let Tula Amana share those details with you shortly. I have direct information to me by the real estate and risk manager of LM Restaurants, Inc., Chris Mutos, whose corporate phone number is 919-851-0858. I spoke with him before the August 1st City Commission vote. He told me that in his 15 years of experience dealing with municipalities in his role as chief real estate manager, he had never encountered anything like what he encountered in his dealings with the city of Deerfield Beach officials. When I asked him to explain further, he told me he had the distinct impression from day one that the city of Deerfield Beach had already made up its mind and had already chosen Danielle Rossi. Nothing that has transpired during this whole sordid process would make me doubt anything that Chris Mutos relayed to me. If the commissioners are truly interested in doing what is best for the taxpayers, they will start this process all over again. They will properly advertise the May I have another minute, Mayor? They will properly advertise the RFP to leading restaurant brokers across South Florida, who will ensure that more than 3 entities will bid on one of the best restaurant locations in all of South Florida. This second time around, procedures can be put in place and adhered to that will prevent one candidate from having inside information and ensure a fair process for everyone. I think even Team Rossi would agree that a redo is the best outcome for all parties involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public?
Good evening. Tula Amana of 5030 Southwest 109th Avenue, Davie 33328. After 10 years of being with the city of Deerfield Beach, and I got to know all the people very, very well. Danielle was my next door neighbor for all these years. I thought we were very amicably talking and chatting, and everything was great. However, I need to let you know certain things that came to my attention. It was after I realized that L&M Restaurants had an amazing plan with a large amount of money invested in the restaurant. And honestly speaking, the only reason that I did not give a bigger amount of money, although I did tell Miss Maury back in December that this place needs at least $1.2 million to be a good place. And I said, let me invest it. She says, no, we choose to put it on an RFP. As it happened, it's called an ITN, Invitation to Negotiate. So it was changed from an RFP. It's very loose in a way, but the scope of the project also, based on the questionnaire, had changed. So what came to my attention is that as of January, when I was asked to basically just agree to that, and I said, okay, what else can we do? If that's what you're gonna do, that's what you're gonna do. In March, I signed and okay, let's proceed. But I had already been listening from a lot of residents that said that, Danielle Rossi has been promised the restaurant since the first time the RFP was there. And for many years, I didn't believe hearsay until I had people like Maureen Kenny, famous in Deerfield Beach, who came into the restaurant and told people in March and April, Tula is going to be thrown out because the restaurant has been promised to Danielle Rossi by employees of the city. During my presentation on June 6th, oral presentation, I was late and I saw Danielle coming in earlier. She proceeded to the purchasing manager's office where she stayed throughout my presentation. We thought nothing of it because the cone of silence was supposed to be done by May 22nd or so, I thought. But in reality, you disqualified LM Restaurants for a violation of the cone of silence that frankly, I don't understand. And then I realized that the figures changed, the rent amount changed, and everything changed from the initial deal, but not everybody was given the chance to change their bid, as did the two highest bidders. You also need to know, one more minute, please, that I thought that Deerfield Beach Cafe LLC, when I saw it, there was the name of our company, but the intention is that somebody will go in on November 1st in order to run it as Deerfield Beach Cafe, and I am moving actually the business. But I do believe that the same standards should apply to everybody. If you disqualified LLM for something like that, I believe that Danielle Rossi purchased the equipment months before she was given the restaurant, and she was privy to information that neither me or Lou Moshakos, I believe his last name, was given, and especially me. So that's all I had to say. You gotta use the same ethical standards across the board. And if somebody did the wrong thing and spread out this type of information, this needs to come out to light. I gave up when I heard about Lou, but I can't stay silent anymore. I do believe it needs to
Thank
be
you.
different. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Hello, I'm Carlo Torres. I work for Top of the Line Management,
I need your address for the record,
Address?
please.
3234 Northwest 28th Way, Boca Raton. 33434.
Thank you.
So yes, I can confirm that the end of January, I was somebody that heard that Oceans was getting the observation deck from a third party that I know. I've been in hospitality for about 18 years. And then after a presentation, I was setting up on Deerfield Beach Cafe, something for drinks for the event for 4th of July. And somebody that works still current at Oceans told me that they were buying equipment to move some pizza ovens the observation deck. And I was like, I thought they had second place, we came third, and the Lou was first place. And that's when I brought that back to my team. And I just wanted you to know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Jorge Almeida, 1100 Northwest 87th Avenue, Coral Springs. I currently work as a manager at Deerfield Beach Cafe. Back in March, a lady who knows because he is in the Kiwanis Club or something like that, and as a customer of us too, eventually she goes to the restaurant and she say, hi, how are you guys? How you doing? Say, fine, we're doing good. Say, you know what's gonna happen with Tula? I said, no, I don't know. Tell me. She says, well, she's not gonna get this. Their place they're gonna have, pointing to Oceans. So I said, oh, I don't know. What I know is we have to present the plan and next month. That was back in March. So there was nothing done yet. So that was something to point out to. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is William DiCarlo. Address is 1460 Southwest 11th Way, Deerfield Beach, Florida. My comments here are generally to support the gentleman here and my colleague, Jorge, based on the comments that we heard at the restaurant. But I want to thank you first for the opportunity to speak this evening. I fully understand when a business as impactful as Deerfield Beach Cafe is changing hands. You start to hear some chatter and some things that go on. And initially I didn't really believe it all. But some of what was being said, once I heard from a woman that is impactful and part of not the government here, but she's involved in the community. When she started to provide information for us prior to the ITN, prior to any negotiations, it started to bring that chatter to me to be a little more important, as I should say. So I've heard the same things. I don't want to speak on rumors here. That's not what we're here for. I'm here to say specifically, I was there when the woman said it. I heard it. And, I just feel like Miss Amana, for what she's done to this community and the time that she spent here, deserves the affordability to get every opportunity she can to still service this community like she has for the last 10 years. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Victor Cherio. Our address is 1411 Siesta Key Trail, apartment 1411, Deerfield Beach Cafe, 33441. I'm a server at Deerfield Beach Cafe, and the lady that they've been talking about, I was the one who was waiting on her. she came outside there because I'm a server. I like to interact with my guests just to make their experience good. And she was like, she came to me and was like, what's going on with the restaurant? I'm like, I don't know. We're just waiting for the city to decide what is going to happen. And she was like, do you know the restaurant is being taken away? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, oh, the bid has been, I mean, this has been given to somebody else. And I'm like, I don't even know anything. And that's when I'd send the manager over just to talk to her and find out what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Cortland Beal, 400 Leslie Drive, Hollandale Beach. When I worked on the bid process with Miss Amana, and when I found out that supposedly 20 minutes late didn't allow us to change our, submit our numbers, but they got to change the numbers post when they became the top two. I didn't think that's right. This gentleman was encouraging you guys to basically redo the bid process. So I would support the council to drop the bid process tonight and try to do a fresh RFT, or was it RTN? Try again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Santos Melendez, 5009 31st Avenue, Fort Lauderdale, sorry. I just wanted to say that back in December, before we even know that our lease was not gonna be renewed for the 5 years extension, a former employee of the city facilities came over to have some lunch and talked to me about the city of Deerfield don't want you anymore here. Your lease is not gonna be renewal because they have promised to go with somebody else that is known on the city. So at that point, we didn't even know anything about it until we finally get the letter from Mr. Santucci saying, oh, your lease is expiring and we only gonna extend it to 90 days period. So I think it was known from before the ITN was put up that we were gonna be out and somebody else was gonna get the lease agreement. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ann Sowers. I live at 6441 Pumpkin Seed Circle, apartment 230. And I just heard rumors with my customers. I've been working for Tula for going on 10 years. Since this all started, they said that she was losing it, that Danielle was taking over. I said, I have no idea. We read it on our phones and we read it in the news, in the newspaper. That's where we're getting all our information from, and that's where the customers are getting the information from. Other than that, I mean, they said, you don't have nothing to worry about. Everything's going to be okay. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alex Pappas. I reside at 3000 South Hiatus Road, Davie, Florida. And I would like to discuss what I witnessed on the day of the presentations in the building. So when I came in, I exited the elevator with another witness, and we saw that Danielle Rossi was leaving the office of an employee of the city of Deerfield Beach. And as we saw them, they left and they entered into another room. And I would like you to just to state this because it just appeared to be a break of the cone of silence. So I wanted just to bring it to your attention. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Christopher Pappas, 3000 South Hiatus Road. I was also there on the event on the presentation day. Me and my brother Alexander Pappas, we arrived a little later, so we went up the elevator. I also witnessed Ms. Rossi leave seemed to appear to be an office of some sort early, right as we were ending our presentation.
Where was this office at?
This was at the presentation day.
Which office?
It was on the second
Which
floor.
one? On which side? Which is in another? Oh, okay. Not this building. Thank
No.
you. Okay.
So we had exited the elevator, we walked out, we noticed Miss Rossi and a city employee leaving an office. And it was right when we were ending our presentation. And I seem entered the room early when they were still ending. And that's just something I wanted to point out. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Good evening. Danny Alvarado, 142 East 47th Street, Hialeah. I was a witness in the day of the presentation on the same conference room. As we finished our conference, there was a few minutes before it ended that we saw Miss Rossi come out one of the rooms in the back of that conference room with another employee of the city. I'm not sure who it was, but clearly it kind of shows some type of relationship that was going on. We don't know if it was business, but that was from my point of view. And my intention is providing this witness statement is to actually record the events that transpired during this bid presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there someone else?
Good evening. My name is Peggy Nolan. My address is 325 Southeast 3rd Terrace, Deerfield Beach, Florida. I had no intention of coming here tonight. Sorry. I had throat surgery on Wednesday. But there's some of you that sat up here when this bid went out 10 years ago. And I felt that our Pier restaurant, I remember my kids used to ride my husband on the bicycles to get French fries. I love Danielle. I think her restaurant on the beach is wonderful, but I still think that this is Deerfield Beach. We have families that come here, and I don't see this restaurant or anyone in any restaurant of this type that people are going to be able to come here with their children and have breakfast or have lunch or have a hot dog or a hamburger. Are we trying to be Boca? We already have 2 beautiful restaurants on the beach. And like I say, I like Danielle. I like the Cove. It's not that I don't participate or go to their restaurants, but I don't see that as a fishing pier restaurant on our beach. And I fought it the last time when we tried to when people wanted the hamburger restaurant to go in there. And I made the statement that what is Father Dalton going to do, God rest his soul, when he's walking along the beach and wants to go have breakfast, what's he going to get? A granola bar and a banana? We got to stop and think about, what do you want to see Deerfield become? Do you want 3 high-end restaurants up there with their average family that goes on vacation, wants to take their 3 or 4 kids for breakfast? That's something that we can't forget. We have a lot of tourists that come to this town. If you want a high-class restaurant, you can go to JB's, you can go to Oceans, but this needs to be a restaurant that people that come to the city of Deerfield Beach and stay in our resorts or stay in our Airbnbs can take their children, go to the beach, and take them for lunch somewhere that's affordable. I mean, I have 9 grandchildren, and I know what it's like when we go out to get something for them to eat. And again, I know you have great intentions. I know that people want to see more, but what more do we want to do to our beach? Do we want 3 high-class restaurants up there? I don't think so. My opinion only, and I'm just voicing my opinion. Like I said, I had no intention of speaking, but I couldn't stay still. I could not say anything. Sorry. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Named David Williams, 4300 Sheridan Street, Hollywood, Florida. The last time that we did the presentation, I don't think nobody understood the effect that Deerfield Beach Cafe presently have on the city of Deerfield. it's a very impact. The stuff that this restaurant do for the city and do for a lot of events that we do for charity, and we do out of goodness of our heart. None of that was said. You know, the impact that this restaurant had for the last 10 years for the city of Deerfield. You know, I don't know Miss Rossi. I don't know her at all. But I was there in the last presentation. I did see her come out the back door with one of the guys. I don't know if he worked for the city or not, but we was
You
still.
just saw her with a person. You don't even know work that they.
I
work
don't
for the
know
city.
where he worked at, but we was still in our presentation. It wasn't over. You know, we didn't even much have time to pack up or anything. So that's what I observed. But the main thing I want to say is that, you know, the Deerfield Beach Cafe, you know, Ms. Tula built that name for 10 years, you know, and the impact that that restaurant have on the city is very impactful, you know, and we need to take that in consideration for what we're doing there. And if you guys seen the new presentation that we did present, it was very nice. You know, it was like bringing a Margaritaville to Deerfield Beach, you know, for a lot of tourists to come over here. So, you know, I just think that, you know, we need a fair shot and to do it the fair way from the city of Deerfield. All right, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Is anyone online? No. Yeah. We're gonna close it to the public. City Attorney, can you address the first part,
Sure.
the first comment that was made?
So it does require, per our charter, this will require a 4/5 vote on second reading, which is tonight, to adopt. It wouldn't be relevant for first reading. First reading would need a 3/5 vote to move forward. But tonight will require a 4/5 vote to affirmatively approve the lease.
Okay. Thank you. Vice Mayor and then Commissioner Preston.
I would hate to have been convicted of a crime coming out of an employee's office, not hearing anything criminal, but the fact that I came out of somebody's office is a crime. A lot of evidence. I saw somebody coming out of an employee's office. Well, people come to see me in my office. Does anybody want to accuse me of anything? Nonsense. City employees don't make a decision. This contract is awarded by this commission and nobody else. The implication that some city employee who is not named put the fix in means that we're all corrupt up here. If we allow it. Not true. No evidence has been presented to make it true. Just, I saw somebody coming out of somebody's office. People are coming in and out of offices all day long. Doesn't make them criminal. Doesn't make them doing anything wrong. And remember this, the decision rests with this commission. No employee of the city except this commission makes that decision. There is no employee that has come to me or anybody else that I know of and said, the fix is in, we're going to give it to so-and-so. Nonsense. I'm insulted that people would even think that that would influence us. You have evidence? Present it. Not, I saw somebody coming out of an employee's office. So what? People come in and out of my office. You want to accuse me of something? Did I put the fix in? You've insulted not only the employees of this city, but this commission. And I'm offended by it. I've heard nothing to implicate anything wrong. The decision not to disqualify a bidder or to disqualify a bidder is the commission's decision. That's in the bylaws. Somebody breaks a rule, we can disqualify them, we can rebid, or we can ignore it. But that decision isn't in employees, that's us up here. Nobody else's. Get that through your head. City employees don't tell the commission how to vote. They don't tell us how to think. They don't tell us not to read backup material. They don't tell us don't use common sense. They don't do that. Anybody would try that would be thrown out of my office. Period. I haven't heard any proof except I saw them coming out of an office. What does that prove? That they visited the office. People come and visit all department heads for all kinds of reasons. Pretty much every project that goes on that's built in this city or not built in this city goes through Eric Power. People coming out of his, oh, the fix is in, he came out of Eric. No, that's nonsense. The buck stops here. And anybody thinks otherwise is a fool. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Commissioner Preston?
Thank you, Mayor. First, Anthony, we need a 4/5 vote tonight, correct?
That's correct, sir.
But we didn't need it before?
You do not need it on first reading when you have two readings of an ordinance. This is the actual adoption hearing.
Thank you. I agree with my colleague that hearsay is hearsay. But the question is, in hearsay or some of the things that occurred, is there any measure of credibility to what people said? And then also, it's important to look at how the situation now presents itself. Is there any integrity? Is there any credibility in it? But hearsay is hearsay. There's nothing that I heard that would be actually incriminating, and that's important. But I can tell you that when the previous owner, whom I think did some very wonderful things in a respectful way for the city of Deerfield Beach, when she feels unfairly treated in the process, that's an issue. That's an issue for me. May not be for anybody else, but it is for me. You know, how we part ways is important. If we're going to do that, there must be credibility in the process, no matter what. Was there anybody that said something that would infer that the contract was ending? That is to say that there was something nefarious and there was a plan. And I would hate to believe that that would be the case. We have a good city. And as my colleague said, it is us who ultimately make the decision. But I can tell you there is a measure of mistrust, a measure of not feeling that it is fair. That's a problem, no matter what we do. That's a problem, because in government, the thing that we should always look to do is eradicate those kinds of things. People must believe in the system in which we have chosen to be a part of. And we must always look to be fair to whoever is involved in that. Whether Ms. Tula was able to retain the restaurant or not, just that she's treated fairly. This commission has every right to say we want to go in another direction. And that process must be fair to Ms. Rossi as well, because we have the right to accept her or say no. But it's not the individuals, but the process. And I can tell you, I don't feel right now that everybody believes in that process. And that's a problem for me. That's a problem for me. When we don't believe in the vote that we would take if we all unanimously voted for her, Ms. Rossi, that you would believe that somehow the commission was a part of an unfair process. And if we voted against her, the same on the other side, that we were targeting her because of what people say about allegedly something going wrong. So what is the right thing to do? That's what this commission is, its quest. What is the right thing to do? In the midst of the information that we have, there were some names that was called that was supposedly saying some things early. And I would hope that wasn't true. But if it is true, then I have to wonder where that information came from. Because in the end, if the people in our residents and the people that live in this community, for the businesses that are here and for us that are representing them, if they don't believe in the process, there's an injustice somewhere. There's something wrong. There's something wrong. I don't think that we can ignore it or push it aside. We have to address it. I think that we should, something that all of us should talk about tonight. We need to debate it, because in the end, people that walk out of here, no matter what, they need to feel right about the process. And though I don't like what was said tonight about the hearsay, but to me, the hearsay is in fact that. It's hearsay, but it's now the foundation of what we're trying to approve that bothers me, gives me some issues. So we'll see how. I think I'm just going to say to my colleagues, I think we should talk it out, debate it.
What do you want to debate?
What I just said, that I just don't feel that a lot of people have the credibility. I'm listening to a former mayor. I'm listening to just what I would like to
She didn't talk about the credibility of the process. She talked about what restaurant was going in there. What we've heard from is nothing but the employees from one of the losing bidders.
Mhm. What I'm saying is that the process should be such a, she's talking about the type of restaurant, is that the entire process, her feeling about the restaurant that should go there that would be a more appealing to the residents is a part of this process. And we should, so what, I'm just saying how I feel about it. If we don't have to talk about it. Let's just take a vote and go home. But I said, just for the sake of the commission, talking amongst ourselves, debating it is just a good thing to let the public know that we care and we hear them, and that we are sincerely, driven to be able to come up with the right thing to do for the city.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Hudak?
We have debated this ad nauseum. We saw all of the presentations. This commission is the one who set the direction on the type of restaurant that we wanted from the beginning. This commission is the one who listened to all of the presentations. This commission is the one who voted and decided on which presentation and plan that we wanted to go forward with. We've debated this ad nauseum as far as I'm concerned. I was the one who actually mentioned discounting one of the bidders because of the violation of code and silence. This commission didn't agree with that, and that's fine. But I have seen nothing that has shown any improprieties with Ms. Rossi. During the bid process, her bid never changed. During everybody saying that they saw her in an office or with a city employee, as our vice mayor said, who knows why she was there? No one said, oh, well, she was passing $100 bills out. And even if she did, the employees don't make those decisions. That decision is made here at the commission level. And we've already made that decision. And now this is the final step. And I'm going to go ahead and put forth a motion to approve.
Second.
Well, we have a lot of debate here left to do before we. start
That's
moving
fine.
forward, but we have a
I still
motion and a
stand with
second.
my motion.
Thank you. Commissioner Drosky and then Vice Mayor Parnas.
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, I really don't know where to begin. It's a lot of new information tonight. Tula, I have a lot of respect for you. I've seen you at many, I've been up here, what, 6, 7 years? I've seen you many, many times. I've been to the women's club where you cater those meals for free for them. You've been a pillar of the community. But this just sounds like sour grapes to me.
No, no, ma'am.
It sounds like last minute sour grapes to me. We had a committee.
Ma'am, you are sorry. No one's not, excuse me. I think this probably helps makes our decision very clear that we've made the right decision. Because if this is what's going on and you don't want to hear what people have to say after you've had the chance to speak, then there's a problem. Don't interrupt the proceedings again, please. I ask you nicely, please.
I don't think the process has been violated at all. If anything, we've gone above and beyond the process for this particular item. We have multiple commission meetings over this, first reading, second reading, now second reading, all of this comes out. And let's not forget, there was a committee that met multiple times. They had at least 3 meetings on this, 3 of the city employees who vetted all of the proposals and made a unanimous recommendation for the operator that we're choosing to approve tonight. So it's not like this is just starting now. This has been going on for quite a long time. I mean, I also don't put any credence to about this meeting with the city employee that we don't even know the name to. It may not even be a city employee. So there's no evidence that there was any wrongdoing whatsoever. The only name that did come out was Maureen Kenny, who I happen to know very well as well in the city. And if Maureen Kenny is your star witness, you've got a losing case.
It was his office and he was seen on the Zoom recording the whole presentation we did. We have the proof. You didn't ask. You called us all liars. And
I'm-
unbelievers. Thank you. I appreciate it. But this is wrong. You don't call all these people.
Good night.
I'm going to wait a second, Mayor.
Sure, please do.
It's disappointing because nobody's calling anybody a liar. I think we're just making the determination that the statements made tonight did not rise to any credible evidence that there was anything wrong with the process. Former Mayor Nolan would just have a disagreement as to the location. We put it out for bid and those were the 3 bidders that came back. We didn't get a Burger Shack or Burger Fi or Wendy's or something like that. They didn't bid. We can't force the private sector who to bid or who not to bid. The 3 bids that we received were Tula and Ms. Rossi and Mr. Mushakis. Those are what we had to deal with. We even had a private or not an outside broker that handled the negotiations and the bidding process as well. So you can't force someone to come to the table. Had they, maybe we'd have a different story, but this is what this is what the market dictates. And this is what we're having to deal with tonight. But I don't see anything wrong that happened with the process. I think the committee dealt through a lot of work. I've sat on committees like that before. It was for the auditor for the city, and the volume of paperwork they have to go through is just phenomenal. I mean, it was over 1,000 pages. And so to sort through that and to make a recommendation, and then to come now at the last minute, and all of a sudden, there's all this wrongdoing. Why wasn't this wrongdoing pointed out earlier? Why didn't anybody say when they saw the wrongdoing at the time at the meeting, hey, stop, there's something nefarious going on here? But nobody said anything until tonight. And I have a problem with that. It just sounds like last minute, sour grapes. I'm not calling anybody a liar. I'm not discounting what anybody saw. But I don't think what they saw amounts to anything that should change this commission's decision. And I don't think it amounts to anything that shows that there was any violation in the process that led us to tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner. Before I let the other commissioners speak, I'm just going to say a couple things here. Well, more than a couple. Commissioner Drosky's right. We put this out to anybody. Anybody could have bid. It could have been any type of restaurant that could have come forward to do it. As you heard tonight, you've got 2 different needs of the city or requests of the city residents. One of them is You're taking money away and let's go with the highest bidder. Let's all chase the dollar, which is what Mr. Hurst said essentially, is that we've ripped $1.5 million away from the taxpayers over 20 years. Well, you're only going to get the highest dollar if you have a menu in what's being presented at the highest price. If you want a burger, shake, ice cream place like we used to have, the old Kelly's that used to be there and the places that used to be there, then they would have bid on, and it would have been something to consider. So you have that split, most money, closest thing you can have to what the residents want. Neither of the three that came forward are really, I would say, are what you had described. At least one person had described, and others have described that that's what they were looking for there. Let's just talk, the flair for the dramatics is pathetic, I have to admit. This irrefutable evidence, seriously? You can say that with a straight face? It's comical to me to hear that said. This is coming from someone, though, who widely likes to spread inaccurate information, so I'm not exactly shocked by that. But there's a few things that need to be considered. One of the people that sat on this committee is our city attorney. Pretty sure that he's not going to throw away his law career to make a decision sitting on that committee if some wrongdoing was going on. That carries a lot of weight with me when you look at this, that our city attorney sat on that. If there was an issue, we would have known it. As Commissioner Drosky pointed out, it all comes up now, not when it first happened, not when you first bid, not when you first found out you weren't in the top two. It all comes out later. So taking everything from what we've heard, someone coming out of an office on that during presentations, that's still not proof, as was pointed out by some of my colleagues. Here's the one definite proof that we have. We know L&M violated it. We know they did because we have hard evidence, irrefutable facts that actually say that they violated it because they sent an email and their dollar amounts changed up until the very night we were making our decision. No one's pointed out, because why be accurate on things, is that they changed their numbers the very night we were making the decision. That really hurts them in my decision making up here when I have a moving target. They changed their numbers the night we were making a decision. The other team did not. Ms. Amana is wrong. And Ms. Amana is consistently wrong with some of the accusations that she's made. We didn't disqualify L&M. We discussed it and hashed it out. Yes, a motion was made to disqualify them because they violated the cone of silence, but they weren't eliminated. We did not vote to do that. She's inaccurate. Go look at the meeting. Go read the minutes. It didn't happen. They were not disqualified. They were still being considered throughout the entire process. That night, they were not disqualified because of a violation that we know for a fact with irrefutable evidence that they violated the cone of silence. We talked through it and we determined as a commission, because we got that far, that we would allow it to continue on because their dollar amounts was something we wanted to discuss and were higher, and it would be a disservice to the residents for us to automatically disqualify them. With that said, I respect the fact that we have employees of Miss Amana that have come forward who've done a great job over there representing not only that restaurant, but the city of Deerfield Beach down there. A change is going to be made. We have to do that in the best interest of the city of Deerfield Beach. Not necessarily, might not be in your best interest, but it is overall for the majority of people in the city of Deerfield Beach, what we feel is the best decisions that were made. Let's go ahead and do that. To say that Maureen Kinney, as was pointed out, is the star witness because she's a former employee of the Deerfield Cafe. I think when you first opened, she worked there. And Miss Kinney has no inside information, certainly not from me. And we're the ones that made the decision. So I'm going to look at my other two colleagues who made that decision and voted on this. Clearly, I would imagine that the fix was not in because it certainly wasn't in with me. So the fact that Maureen Kinney has decided to go in and spread that rumor, that's up to her. Again, it's hearsay. I hear no irrefutable proof. What I hear sounds like sour grapes, which is disappointing and quite frankly, embarrassing for Miss Amana and her team. be honest with you. This whole interaction right here, extremely disappointing. And it's a shame that it has to end this way. But it clarifies for me that we are certainly making the right decision by not having it continue on the way it is right now. I know the city manager has a couple things that he wants to say. So I'll let you go ahead and jump in before I get to my other colleagues.
Thank you, Mayor, and appreciate you letting me speak on this. There's two things that I want to point out to the city commission before they make a decision. First and foremost is that the city has a very strict protest procedure, and the protest procedure is meant to provide an outlet and an opportunity for proposers who go through the procurement process and feel as though there may have been an issue. It provides them a formal path to address that with the city commission. That could have been done up to 5 days prior to the award, which this is not the award. The award came weeks prior to this before tonight. And just so you're aware, the city didn't receive any protests on this procurement whatsoever. The other thing that I want to mention is that although I cannot confirm or deny that Ms. Rossi was talking to an employer in an employee's office there on the second floor, because I personally witnessed all of the presentations that were given during that phase. And keep in mind that all three proposers were given the opportunity to provide presentations. I would not be surprised if Ms. Rossi was in the office that's on the second floor of Central City Campus, because it is the procurement office. And those who are giving presentations and wanted to wait in between the presentations to be part of the public evaluation committee meeting that preceded those negotiations were offered the conference room in the purchasing office in between. I want to remind you that the only two entities who a bidder can talk to during the procurement process is the city attorney's office and procurement. They are excluded from talking to anybody else. So it did make sense to obviously provide them a place to sit down in between the presentations so that they could, wait around until we did the public evaluation committee meeting immediately following the presentations. So I was not there to witness exactly who was there, but the only office on the second floor is the procurement office.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Parnas and Commissioner Preston.
I was invited to a meeting this afternoon in which a presentation was made. And Ms. Tooley showed up, uninvited by me. She showed up and said, I have irrefutable proof that the fix was it. My comment is presented at the commission meeting. If you got proof, you got proof. So far, I'm still waiting for proof of anything wrong that any employee or this commission has done. I was the original former restaurateur from New York that put forward the idea that we should upgrade that restaurant because 1 million people come to that pier every year. We have a celebration, 90,000 people show up to the beach. This is the face of Deerfield. This is our economic engine. Just like Disney's the biggest employer in Florida, our beach is our shining glory. I want people who walk to that pier and walk into that restaurant feel that it's a Class A place without a Class A price. Their prices are not like across the street at the hotel. You look at their menu and it's reasonable. Cheap, go to 7-Eleven and buy a ham sandwich. Get a hot dog. Get in your car, go to Wawa. Cheap? Is that what we want as the face of Deerfield? We're not a little town anymore. We're a city. 90,000 strong. And when we have an object like the beach, that draws people, our biggest tourist attraction, that restaurant should be Class A. New, fresh, exciting for people to want to go there. With that, I've seconded the motion.
Well, we already have a motion a second on the.
Yeah,
table.
I seconded.
Commissioner Preston speak and then we'll call the vote. Unless that changes.
Thank you, Mayor. I have personally eaten at Mrs. Rossi's restaurants on the beach and I like it. And I'm sure she'll do a good job and that's what I think. But like I said, what concerns me is the process. The people that watch this, the people that look at this, the people that we're accountable to, what do they see? And I'm challenged with that as I was previous. You know, far too often people look at government and they think that people that are in authority are basically neighborhood bullies. We'll do it the way that we want to do. I can tell you, I don't, you know, for those who may be watching, who chose not to speak tonight, number one, I didn't see anything with hearsay that would suggest that, you know, something went wrong in the process. But I can tell you is that I can tell you that there are a lot of people that are unfavorable about the way that the process unfolded. And that concerns me then, and it concerns me now. I think that we all have to do a good job of trying to represent ourselves in a way that the public does have confidence in it. And I agree with the former mayor, because I ate at Kelly's and I ate at all those. Would you get a neighborhood breakfast there like we used to? And I don't think so. I think there are a lot of changes. Are they necessarily for the bad? No, things do change, but you have to decide whether you feel that this is in the best interests of our residents. Those of you that do, there are some that maybe don't. So, but again, the process, the governmental process, when people walk away, do they have confidence in it? Will they have less confidence? You know, that's an issue. So, you know, I want to tell you that I don't, you know, I work with these men all the time. And I can tell you, I've seen nothing that suggests that any of them would be on the take. You need to understand that. You need to know that. Now, any of these gentlemen that are up here somehow engaged in things that were not right to make sure that they had a favorable outcome. I don't see it. It doesn't exist. So don't walk away. I'm going to say to you, no matter what the vote is, that's the way that it is. And if you feel that, okay, you're not right. And let's just say, hypothetically, something was said to someone, and somebody could have said to Ms. Rossi, way before this process, that you're going to, you know, being that they knew that she had an interest, you're going to get it next. That's their opinion. That's their opinion. They're entitled to that. Even if she was interested or not. But if she certainly was interested in it as someone's opinion, they had, you know, they could say that she's was going to get it. Doesn't make it true. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it, that's exactly what's going to happen. So for those of you that have that tinge, that feeling that the process isn't fair, I can tell you that the people up here voting are fair people. Not the easiest all the time to look at things a certain way, but let me just tell you, the process, and I want you to hear me on this, the process is fair. So if you walk away thinking that somehow it's not right, somehow a deal was made, somehow there was an inside track, I'm going to say that the voting members had no process in there. And I'm also tell you that the people that represent this city under our city manager, Mr. Santucci, his staff. I know them. I see them. I work with them. The process is good. These are good people. These are not bad people. The city of Deerfield Beach is not corrupt. And you need to know that walking away that, hey, it did go my way. It didn't go my way, but the process is fair.
Thank you. We're going to call the vote. I just want some clarity. Despite the misinformation that's been put out there, this is a 20-year lease with the possibility 2 5-year renewals. Doesn't mean it's a 30-year contract, correct?
That's correct. The 2 5-year renewals would be at the mutual option. Both parties have to agree.
Yeah, and if you don't believe that that's the way this works, ask the current vendor, because obviously they didn't get their renewals on those years. So it's silly to assume that it's automatically 30 years. It's just inaccurate. When you attack one side, when you ask questions only of one side and not the other, when you ignore issues with one vendor but point out those same issues with another vendor, when one side that keeps changing prices and you don't even mention or acknowledge it, it tells me that you clearly have a personal vendetta against one side. The evidence points towards that type of favoritism. That's some of the stuff that I've seen. The motion has been made. We have a second. We have roll call, please.
Commissioner Drosky,
Yes.
Commissioner Hudak,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
No.
Vice Mayor Parnas,
Yes.
Mayor Gans.
Yes.
Just at adjournment.
Okay. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.